If you're a heat and air conditioning technician or even a salesperson, what are the 10 top reasons why homeowners don't trust technicians when it comes to HVAC sales, and why does it matter? This is a fantastic question. I'm Scott Bell, coming to you live from Sacramento, California, on a perfect day to talk about sales and business, and a fantastic day to talk about you. Coming to you live for HVAC technician sales secrets. Okay, so here's the thing. I got 10 reasons here why homeowners don't trust technicians when it comes to HVAC repairs, and sometimes even plumbers, right? Most in-home services could fall into these categories. And I will share with you from the very beginning, a lot of this is underwritten with poor communication. So just remember that. So let's start with one, past history. Yes, in the past, people have lied, cheated, and stolen and made stuff up that didn't need to be done. So let's get this one out of the way. Are there scumbags in the industry? Yes, please don't be a scumbag, right? And I make sure to put this as number one so people are like, hey, but Scott, you didn't say anything about the people who are bad. Yes, I did. From the very beginning, don't be a scumbag, don't lie, cheat, and steal, okay? Out of the way. 2, does the work really need to be done right now? So, like, as a consumer, I've got a Toyota Camry, and sometimes I'll take it, and they're like, hey, Scott, here's a list of things that are recommended, and one of the questions that I ask is, does this really need to be done right now? No, it's just a recommendation for the future. It's completely different than, yeah, we really need to take care of this right now. It absolutely positively has to be done. Well, sometimes technicians don't know the reason why. They don't really understand the sequence of operations, don't know the order of operations, don't know how the equipment really works. So they make this recommendation, and then the homeowner goes, do I really need to do it? And the tech's like, I don't know. Like, well, you made the recommendation. How come you don't know? 3, and from the very beginning, I said poor communication skills. Poor communication skills, not being able to explain parts, what they do, how they work, how one piece is tied to another. Like, if you are a homeowner and you're watching this, there are no extra parts in a heating and air unit. There is not. When you look at the diagram, in the ladder diagram on the inside or anywhere on the schematics, there might be one thing that's an optional thing, like a hard start kit or a soft start kit. Besides that, there's no additional parts. Now, it'll say recommended, but some of the equipment out there, they'll be shipped without it, okay? So short of one piece that I can think of, there's no extra parts inside of a system. And so, technicians lose out because they can't explain, here's what the part is, here's what it does, here's why you need it. Some people will explain it as feature, benefit, impact. Here's the feature, here's the benefit, here's what happens if we don't have it, okay? Number 4, and this is a big one. The last tech didn't have the moral courage to share, hey, this really needs to be done, because they were scared about how much it was going to be to fix it. They were worried about, like, oh my goodness, if I go to this homeowner, Mr. Smith, Mr. Jones, Mrs. Jones, they're going to get mad at me because I built really good rapport and we're going to hang out and barbecue never. Okay. You caught the never, right? Okay. Number 5, the last tech misdiagnosed and didn't have the skills or the knowledge. There was a lot of times where I'd go out to a second opinion and people would say, hey, I had XYZ company come out, and usually it was a pretty good company, but sometimes the techs, they had no idea what they were looking at. You go through it, have low voltage issues, and they would say it was a capacitor. Not all tech skills are the same. And this is really tough for homeowners to understand, is they're thinking, I'm going to get a technician out, and across the board, everybody's going to have the same skills, talents, and capabilities. And this is where communication comes down. It just doesn't happen. There's some techs that have been in the field for 20 years where someone who's in the field for 5 has got better skills than them because they've practiced, they've learned, they studied. There are technicians out there today, right now today, that really don't know how to diagnose the system. So they start with, let's just start with a capacitor. Well, that wasn't it. Let's go to the contactor. That wasn't it. Let's go to the fan motor. That wasn't it. Let's go to a high limit switch. You got to know that if you've got skills, talents, and capabilities when it comes to diagnosis, and you have the ability to communicate, fantastic. You are amazing. Number 6, pricing is misunderstood, okay? And this is where I get the most amount of comments from homeowners, just period, on this channel. Scott, I looked and this capacitator is, $6 and the company was charging me $300. They don't understand that, okay, look, at the end of the day, there is all the overhead of running a company. I'm going to go over a few stats here in a minute for you that'll help you understand. And they're like, it's 1/20th of the cost. Why? Well, we don't think in terms, if I'm going to go to the burger stand, let me see how much that slab of mastodon beef cost, and then that piece of artisan bread, and then that slice of cheese, and then the squirt of ketchup, and then the squirt of mustard, and then, some deep fried French fries, and then a gallon of soda, a liter of cola farva. All right. We don't take a look and break that down, because we're like, we don't need to. Let me look and go, hey, in California, $20 for a number one combo through the drive-through window? That's ridiculous. So this is like the type of feel of like, I don't understand how come, I see this part online and it is $8, $6, $5, and you're charging $200 or $300 for it, and I could do that on my own. Great, do it, right? I don't, okay, pay the diagnostic fee. If you want somebody to diagnose it, go on, whatever, do it. Okay. And this right here is why you should join HVACtechsecrets.com. I'll give you the goods, not the Facebook group, not the YouTube channel, which means private coaching, private training, discounted coaching, or discounted training. Go to that URL, type it in, drop in your name, your email address, maybe your phone number. You'll love it. You'll get the publication. Number 7, right along with pricing. Not everybody charges the same. In Sacramento right now, there's probably 450 to 470 active licenses within 60-mile radius. And everybody's got a different price, right? I know of friends that work for companies, and they're like, hey, Scott, a capacitator through us is $220. Okay, cool. I got friends that are like, hey, Scott, a capacitator through us is $430. And then we go through like, well, what's a contactor? Contactor's $175, contactor's $280. Made up numbers, right? Just for the sake of this conversation, you got to know that not every company charges the same. So like when people go out, they're like, hey, I'm going to get a second opinion. It's confusing because by law, this is created by law. The companies can't collude and go, all right, we're all going to charge the same amount for this part. We're all going to charge the same amount for this part. That's collusion. It's not allowed. Okay. Number 8. Once again, in pricing, most companies don't charge enough. And I know this will freak out some people to understand this or have this conversation. The average company in heating and air prior to COVID, okay, so I'm going to give you prior to COVID. These were 2019 stats, has 3 employees, a husband, a wife, and a son. A husband, a wife, and a grandson. Usually has 3 employees and will do less than $500,000 a year in revenue. And you're like, Scott, what does that have to do with the price of tea in China? I'm going to say everything, because a lot of times this company is only seasonal. They only build up enough money to get them through the year. They're not running as a company. They're not running as an organization. They're running as, and I'm going to say it, you're not going to like it, a charity. Okay. So, good old father, son, mom come out and they're like, hey, we're going to, charge $100 for this price. And then bigger companies charging $220, $230, $240. Homeowner feels like they're getting ripped off, and they're like, well, this is the way it should be. Not realizing that company won't be around. Why? Because they didn't charge enough money. And the same thing goes for their installs. They charge, if the marketplace is charging 20, this company's charging 12. And they're not realizing they need that money for marketing. They're not realizing they need that money for taxes. They're not realizing that they need that money, period. And so once again, it goes confusing to the homeowner. They're like, why is this company at 40 grand? Right? And I've got bids at 20. Chances are pretty good that company at 40 grand is going to be around. Chances are pretty good that company at 40 grand is probably, I'm going to say probably, ran well. And so here's what happens is sometimes techs and salespeople in the industry, they look up the mountain. They're like, why is that company charging so much? Well, I'm going to share with you, I've seen and been on enough inside of managers meetings and owners meetings to know that at that price point, that company has the ability to buy bids. You may not know this here in Sacramento. On a hot day, if you go to Uncle Google and type in HVAC company, that one click of me typing in, heating and air conditioning repair or heating and air replacement can cost between $300 and $1,200 for someone to go click. And that money just evaporates. Gone. And you're like, hey, Scott, well, what if it's not Uncle Google? What if it's one of the other lead sources? Same thing. It could be $300, $400, $500 to hit that button one time. Like, you go to Vegas and you're like, hey, there's some of those spinny wheel things where they got the jackpot and they got the arm that we pull, right? Slot machines. We've got these slot machines. What you don't realize if you've never been on the marketing side or the marketing team is you are literally, you've got the same odds of going to Vegas, chunking down $500 in that machine and go, and sometimes you get a lead and sometimes you don't. Sometimes you get a sell and sometimes you don't. And so money is where a lot of this miscommunication is. And these companies that are charging this higher amount typically have the ability to go to that slot machine more often and buy clients and buy people. And yeah, I'm sure they discount. I'm sure that they may do things for less, but the same thing goes for their repairs, right? Like you have to pay for everything. And in this conversation is the industry, the heating air industry is only 75% filled. So there's a lot of dudes, and this is a dude industry. So like, if you're like, well, what about the women? Like when you look at who's retiring out of this industry, it's like 99.9999, like ... men, and like 0.0000001. So I'm going to say dudes. A lot of dudes are retiring out. They're like, I'm 60 years old. My elbows hurt. My shoulders hurt. I can't read labels anymore. I'm out. So there's not enough text to go around. Now, don't get a big head about this. It is what it is. Number nine. Nine. Social magazines tell people to get 3 bids, get second opinions, talk to other people. But like all things aside, when you see a doctor, even a doctor is going to have a difference in education. Like my personal physician a couple of years ago was an old man. That dude's got tons of cheeseburgers and pizza slices in his life. The dude that they connect me with was a younger guy who didn't have milkshakes, pizza, and cheeseburgers anywhere close to the dude that I had been meeting with. And so he had different responses. So the same thing's true when it comes to a tech being out in the field. How long has that guy ever been around? How long has that girl been around out in the field? And what are they? We're going to go back all the way to the diagnosis. What did they say needed to be done? Then we're going to go back to not every company charges the same price. So it's confusing for homeowners. They're like, this guy's got all the same parts and pieces listed and he is $900. And this guy's got all these parts and pieces listed and he's $1,800. How is it twice as much? Well, some of it comes down to company pricing and some of it comes down to, is the cheaper company really doing the right thing? Are they going to be around? And the history is against them. The answer is probably not. I know that sucks to hear, but like at the end of the day, you have to charge a good amount of money to pay for the right people, to pay for the warranty, to pay for the advertising, to pay for the fuel of the business, which is profits. And then number 10, this one really screws people up, okay? And it's time to price. Time, like it took you 10 minutes for $600. So people get really torqued about this. It took you 10 minutes to do a $600 repair. And so when people look at it, they're like, okay, if on average that person makes $45 an hour, about $95,000 a year, they look and they're like, it took me 14 hours before tax money to pay for that repair. It took me 13 to 14 hours before tax money to pay for that repair, and you did it in 10 minutes, right? Get the they did it in 10 minutes. And so what they're not realizing is like, hey, I've got to warranty that part. Like I live in California. There does have to be a warranty put on that part for that thing that was sold. So when you take and you wrap all 10 of these items up, like, right, you're going to take 10 and you're like, and you put them together, there is a golden lace. There is a golden thread. It's time and it's money, right? How much time did it take and how much money? So like when I was a tech, I would go out to a homeowner and say, hey, look, here's the thing. This part, for some techs would take them an hour. It'll take me 30 minutes. Do you want me to do it in an hour? Or do you want me to do it in 30 minutes? And then people would say, for that much money, you better take an hour. I'm like, all right, I'll do it in an hour. And for some people, can you do it right in 30 minutes? Like, you're damn right I can. You're darn right I can. You're darn right I can. I could do it in 30 minutes, no problem. And then so like I would do it in 30 minutes. And so be aware that there is a lot that goes in this. There is some mistrust in the industry. This is a long video, by the way. So there's 10 reasons why homeowners don't trust techs. It's like for real, they get like 10 reasons why homeowners don't trust techs. You got 3 things that you can do from here. Just 1 of 3. Find the subscribe button, click on it, and every time I send out a video, you'll get an update. 2, hit follow. 3, you know what you got to do. Share this video with a friend. We'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.